Hi all, I'm Dan Smigrod, founder of the We Get Around Network Forum. Today is Friday, February 23rd, 2018, and you're watching WGAN-TV live at 5. Our topic today, 360 tours, an update since our last program on 360 tours for newbies. So we want to know what's changed. And we have the two co-founders in our studio today, Lorenzo Gangi and Ross Peterson. And you may know Ross is the founder and developer of WP3D Models, which seamlessly integrates with 360 Tours. So hey guys, good to see you, Lorenzo and Ross.
Yeah, how you doing?
So let's why don't we jump into a I know we're going to assume that our audience has watched the previous episode, 360 Tours for Newbies, but let's just get a kind of an overview of 360 Tours, and then we'll dive into the program.
That sounds good. Yeah, I have. We talked before about what we sort of built this out to solve, and I guess the main thing is we felt like while it was easy to, and while Matterport and other providers have made it easy to map interior spaces, if you have multiple buildings or structures, sometimes it can be tricky to figure out where one is in relation to another. So initially, that was one of the, I guess, the genesis idea, that we wanted to make it easy for someone, especially with an aerial 360, to say this house is here, this pool house is here, this guest house is here, or and then to be able to supplement that with like, let's say you have a ranch, this is where the stable is, or this is, so you can mix and match 3D content. You can mix in 360 photos, and then you could even mix in video, images, any other kind of multimedia content, and put it in one place that we can then provide an embed code. So it's kind of a conglomerate of all of this technology that is out there. We wanted a way that you could wrap it up or bundle it up, put your logo on it, and publish it as your own. And so that's really what we built 360 Tours to do, and launched about a year ago. We've been working on it for about a year and a half. We launched the end of 2017, and we've recently added a number of new features we're going to talk about today.
Give us a quick highlights, just the topics. What are we going to talk about? What's new and different since 360 Tours for Newbies on WGAN-TV?
Sure, I can field that if you want, Ross.
Perfect.
So we've released a couple new things. About 4 months ago, we released the new batch uploader, and that allows you to upload multiple panoramas or photos at the same time, and then optionally make a new tour from those. There's some restrictions people might want to know about. The maximum number of photos that you can upload, or panoramas, I should say, or panoramas or photos that you can upload at one time, is 20. And it's limited to 60 megabytes worth of data. If you go over that, then you're going to have to do them in separate chunks. But anyways, that's just a little aside. Some other things that we've done, we've made a feature called Preserve Orientation. And what Preserve Orientation does is it preserves the direction you're facing, or the camera is facing, when you move from one panorama to another. So if you can imagine walking through a door or some sort of portal, when you get to the other side, you expect that the door or portal that you came from would be behind you. So the same thing applies to 360 Tours. If you turn on the feature, that if you go to one panorama from another, the link that links you back to the panorama from which you came is 180 degrees behind you. So it gives it a nice, more lifelike experience as you're moving around inside of these tours. Another thing that we released just recently, and people are pretty excited about this, is the custom icon features. So now, our custom icon feature now inside of 360 Tours, when you create a marker to annotate something inside of the panorama or photo, you can upload and select your own custom markers. So you can do a JPEG or a GIF or a PNG, whatever sort of image file that you like, and then you can use those to further brand or to further sort of annotate the panorama or photo that you're trying to make. So that's pretty handy. And then lastly, one thing that we're pretty proud of, that we just recently came out with, is the addition of two-dimensional photos and maps. So what that means is not only can you add panoramas to tours, but you can also add two-dimensional photos. So you could have, for instance, an outdoor panorama that is connected to a two-dimensional photo of say a house or whatever you're interested in providing. And similarly, you can use those two-dimensional photos that you can add to tours as maps for a given tour. So yeah, that's the four main feature releases that we've had in the past 4 months.
And I
And
think
you all are going to take us through both the 2D and the maps of how that's done.
Oh yeah, we're gonna.
Okay.
we're gonna show you for sure.
I don't want to mess up your workflow here, Ross, but perhaps what you could begin with is the final product of what someone looks at, and then go into how you actually created something like that.
Sure. Yeah. And I guess I wanted to mention too that I don't know how much of this we touched on. I should have double checked our previous, but one of the main goals with 360 Tours is that at our top tier, we really want people to be able to white label everything. And that's of course the same account that you get with the WGAN subscription. So in addition to, so it sort of, I guess, dovetailing with custom icons where you can make your own branded icons. You can also use your own custom URL. So, everything that somebody sees about what you've created would be fully white labeled to your brand. So that's a big one. Maybe, Lorenzo, maybe I'll just jump in and show the preserve orientation piece on a tour that I have enabled. And then maybe, I don't know if it's necessary for us to walk through the batch uploading. It's pretty straightforward as far as what it does. But the 2D photos I'll hand over to Lorenzo. So this, I'm gonna share the screen here. Okay. So, can everyone see my tour?
I can.
Perfect. So this is a relatively simple exterior tour of a small house that's here in Montana. And the idea here is that, we walked around with just a Theta S, snapped a few pictures. This whole tour probably took maybe 15 minutes to make, just setting the Theta up on a tripod. And so here we are facing the house. If you click on the porch, the idea is we should be facing the house when we land on the porch, and we are. So now if we go back to this panorama that we were currently at before, the idea is we'd be facing the street, and that's the case. So as
excuse me, but I'm just tingling, literally. I mean, that was so exciting. I'm what we would just assume is, well, of course that's the way it works. That's something you had to really think about how to achieve. So congratulations on that, because that just made it easy and seamless and expected of how that tour would work. So that's amazing. Yeah, it's
subtle when you're doing it, and it's not a not so subtle solution. So and I think it's worth noting that if like people like Matterport have solved this, because the system generates where each pano is in relation to the other. Because of the way that we've built 360 Tours, it's meant to be a quick and easy, simple way to make simple exterior tours or simple even interior tours. But this process of connecting these, turns out to be, one of those big features that a lot of people were asking for, and we feel like we got it. So
cool.
Yeah, Lorenzo, do you have one you want to pull up for
two-dimensional tours? Sure. Let me just get my screen share going here.
Ross, you may have to pop out of that. I think we're in your screen share.
Stop share. There we go.
Yep.
There you go. Can you see the screen share?
Yep.
Okay, so what we want to show here is the 2D photos and maps that can be added to a tour. And so here you can see we have, well, first I'll show you how to add the 2Ds. This is a panorama, of course, so we can spin back and forth. But here under our tour, we can see that you have.
And just to jump in, Lorenzo's in the editor mode there. Before we were just in viewer mode. So this is what you would see when you're logged in.
Yes, exactly. And I'm sorry, maybe this is a little bit unclear. Let me back up one step.
That's okay. Again, we're going to assume that that everyone has already seen the 101 WGAN TV Live at 5, 360 Tours for Newbies. We'll put it right below in the We Get Around Network forum for those watching on YouTube, wegetaroundnetwork.com. Lorenzo, don't feel you have to double back to do 101 here. Because
okay. Well, all I was going to show is, as a new feature, if you have 360 tours and you're used to just having tours and panoramas, with the new 2D feature and custom icons, you'll see these in your application dashboard. So you can scroll down and you can see photos now, and I have all of these other photos that have been added to the list, and now I can use those inside of my tours, right? So if I click edit to edit the castle tour, then when I actually open up my tour settings, I will see in the add and remove tour content that my photos are also provided inside of this list. So I can add them and delete them as I see fit. To see one that's already been added, this two-dimensional photo has been added. And you can see that you can still scroll around the photo, right? Just like sort of in the nature of how you would do it in a panorama, but of course you don't spin around because it's not a panorama. You can also zoom in and zoom out, which is handy. Now the editor takes care of resizing this photo automatically to fit the viewport. So depending on the size, like where you've used this tour, if you're using it just as like a URL and it's filling up the entire browser, it'll appropriately size the two-dimensional photo to fit either in a panoramic or a portrait view, depending on the size of your browser. And the same thing if you actually embed these, it'll figure out what size the embed is and then appropriately size that. And so you can see that it has a marker and it operates in every way just like a panorama would. Furthermore, you can use these two-dimensional photos as maps. So you can see here that we have something that's called Tour Map. And if we open that up, you can select the different tours that you might want, or select from the different photos that you might want to use as a map for your tour. Oh, one thing I should say too is that you have a number of different options as to how the tour map shows up in your finalized tours. You can show it in the header, which is of course right up here. So if I click that, we get a modal window that has our tour map in it. And again, it has the individual panorama icons added to it. So this will actually take you into, oh, something happened there. Well, I'm not sure what that was. Sorry for the hiccup, ladies and gentlemen. Let me refresh the page.
That's okay. I can certainly imagine that our connection in 4 different cities over the internet is also a bit of a challenge for you. So if things look like they have some latency, it's really not. It's just that it's the magic of how we've linked 4 different cities together to do this.
The magic of the internet. Anyways, so you have these on your map. You have these panorama links that will link you to the various panoramas. And we were talking about the tour map placement. You can also place your map in the navigation tray, which would be here. You see that this map has a little map icon in it. And then lastly, you can choose to hide it and just not show the map at all for whatever reason, if that's what you'd like to do. What else did we want to go over besides that, Ross?
Well, we can, we can certainly, we can talk, before, I guess to wrap that up, if you can imagine that this being really valuable for, we've seen use cases of trade shows where somebody had a, you wanted to get a 360 in front of every one of these booths, but there was already a generated trade show map. you could upload that trade show map as the tour map and then put a 360 in front of every booth and do a virtual tour of a trade show. You could use this. We've got one of a large tennis arena that's been used where, you know, if you wanted to move around a space that was like multiple city blocks, but you didn't want to have to move, you didn't want to have to shoot so many panoramas that you could physically move from space to space to space. You could take a generated 2D map and then go take a few select 360 panos and stitch it all together, so you can do a virtual tour of a very large space pretty easily. And I guess it's always, I think, important to note that you can do it really pretty quickly. So these things don't take long to produce. We've got some, I think, I don't recall if we talked about custom URLs before. I mean, we mentioned it before, but that's a big feature. So people can pick a subdomain or a primary domain and point that to either all of their tours or a specific tour. So that one's probably not super in need of demoing. It just works. Lorenzo, do you think maybe custom icons? Do we have a good example of that? It's something
sure. I think we can. Hold on. Let me just open something up, and then we can do a screen share.
Yeah. So that one's a we haven't even officially launched that yet, but we thought it'd be nice to mention it here today.
That's cool. A WGAN-TV Live at 5 exclusive.
That's great.
Icons for 360 tours.
Yeah, the idea is that you'll take a 200 by 200 pixel image, and so you would create that yourself, and it doesn't have to be square, but it would be. That's
Ross, sorry to interrupt you, but as you talk, I can demo the feature.
Sure. Yeah.
So if you see my screen, effectively, well, first of all, let me delete this marker. But in the dashboard, you'll see that I have actually uploaded a custom icon here, right? So you know, if I wanted to add another one, of course.
I'm looking. Custom marker icon.
Yeah, exactly. So I would, you know, I can add a name, I can choose the file and upload it. But for the sake of demoing, what we'll do is just add the one that I already have uploaded. The panorama loads. And I drop my icon. Now, when I open the icon or the marker editor form, just like I would with a normal icon, I can select a custom icon.
What's the use case for that? Why was that a requested feature?
It's because people want to be able to completely white label the solutions that they're providing their clients. So say that you have a client, maybe that's a hotel or something, and you're trying to build a virtual tour of both their outside spaces and their inside spaces. You can then like actually use their own branded images to mark stuff on the
okay. Got it. We're still on screen share. Was there something else that you want to share or come out of screen share?
No, that's it. We just wanted to show that you can actually provide these custom icons.
His icon, it has been added there. Yeah.
Yep.
And you can put a library of these together. So as Lorenzo notes, it's maybe there's a particular brand has a whole slew of identity pieces that they need to make sure that color wise, and so those they can build a library and then build all the tours using just their little library of icons.
Mm-hmm. Cool. What else is new?
I'm just looking at my list. That covers it of the recent stuff.
Okay. We talked about 2D maps, 2D images, maps, custom icons, perceived orientation.
Preserve. Yeah.
Or perceived is a good name too. We could.
That's okay. Let me get it correct. Preserved
orientation. Yeah.
Preserved orientation. Okay. All right. Cool. Why don't we just jump back to and by the way, we do have virtual studio audience. If you've got questions, just type them out and we'll take a look at that. Unless you want to join us on screen. Take us back up to a little bit of the big picture of the problem you were solving by developing this, and how that's now turning into opportunities for photographers to make money. If there were maybe the top 3 use cases. Is hotels one of them?
Yeah, let's look at a couple demos just for, let me share my screen and we'll look at a couple demos.
Okay.
Okay. So, we've had, is my screen up for everyone?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So we have a client that has built some really cool tours here. Basically this, this luxury resort, this is mixing together all sorts of different kinds of content that this person created and did all of they built all this. And then they took an aerial photo and I feel like this is a really good example of how a photographer can take everything they're kind of already doing and put it in one place. So there's some great, the blue icons in this case are 360 video. And so this may not play very well depending on how much bandwidth we've all got. But here's a 360 video that plays in this from that particular spot, right? And then there's also YouTube videos. These are just standard video. And of course the 3D tour Matterport content here. But somebody looking at this for just a few minutes would be pretty oriented to this resort prior to ever going there, in my opinion. So this is one really good use case.
And I would say so, because I'm a visual person, and this really just helps me kind of get the lay of the land. And then if I do want to learn more about that pool or what's over by that video, it looks great. Where you have a 3D tour, does that need to be Matterport only?
No, certainly not. And it's a good example. We do have a tight integration with Matterport. So you just paste the URL in and it generates this specific presentation or this specific icon. But you can take, you could pick your own icon. You could upload now a custom icon. And then you could link the iframe content for another tour provider and get the same presentation.
Okay, so presently today, the deep integration, which is simply the copy and paste of the URL, is Matterport for 3D tour. But any 3D tour that you can generate an iframe, then there's an opportunity to copy and paste that into 360 tours to make that what's underneath the 3D tour button.
That's right. Yeah, and the same is true with really, anything that you can embed with an iframe. We've kind of built that out, so it'll have a nice modal presentation like this, where it takes over. You stay on the screen, and same concept.
Mm-hmm. Now, before you move off of this example, one of the things that strikes me is this might really be the starting image on WP3D models.
Right. Yes. You're referring to a single property page of some sort? Or?
Yeah, for a single property website where we typically insert Matterport as the top image. Could you talk a little bit about this seamless integration 360 tours to WP3D models, about using this particular example, perhaps?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I actually have I have one kind of ready that I could show you.
That's fine.
So basically, I'm going to switch over here. So if you were in
Okay, and for those that may be new to WP3D models, maybe we just get a quick overview of what WP3D models is, and then about the seamless integration.
Sure, yeah. So WP3D models is a WordPress plugin that was developed so that we could quickly bring in content you've produced as a photographer via Matterport or now via 360 Tours. You can bring it into your WordPress site, and then you can use the tools we've created to add your own branding and supplement it with photos and video, other types of media, contact form, etc. So there's no limit to the number of these single property pages you can generate out.
And I guess I would just add two more things before we go into the demo here, because I really love the gallery feature that when we add a Matterport Spaces 3D tour, when we create, because it is a content management system, when we put it in once, we can output it in different ways. And one of those is that it automatically generates to our gallery page. And I love that.
Right. Yeah. To organize all of your tours, we're using that term a lot, but the content you've created for various properties, you can organize them all on your site with this.
Yeah. It may be obvious to us, but it's just not, there's so many new 3D photographers coming along. I think it's just important to say that once you add any of your content to WP3D models, that it enables you to easily output as branded, unbranded, single property website, full page, full screen tour, with a form, without a form, with a lead generation form, without a lead generation form. So I always think of it as a fire hose compared to a garden hose. And then lastly, for search engine optimization, I always cringe when somebody tells me that they have 100 Matterport spaces that maybe have gotten, 500 views each. And I go, wow, that's 50,000 views that you've used the Matterport link, and you've just given that SEO up. That could be helping your page or your client's page, however you choose to implement it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's exactly right. Everyone should want to be promoting their own domain for anything that they're sharing online, in my opinion.
Okay, so now we have 360 tours, and you're going to show us how that's seamlessly integrated with WP3D Models WordPress plugin.
So when you add a new model inside WP3D, you're asked to give a title, which I've done here. By default, you need to pick the model base, and in this case, you can pick from Matterport, now 360 tours, or video, generic iframe, or a static image. So we've built a really tight integration with 360 tours. When you select that, all it's going to need is the URL from 360 tours. That'd be the public viewing URL, and that's it. It's simply a title and then publish. And what's happening now in the background is WP3D, this install is going to 360 tours, capturing the thumbnail image and assembling it inside it right here. So we're going to, right here on the side, we're going to go to the skinned view, and obviously there you could pick a DSLR photo that would be perhaps more attractive. This image came directly from the tour, and it's automatically brought into your site. And then when you click the play button, it loads the 360 tour in the hero space. I just have a dummy logo up here, but this would take your branding, and we automatically apply parameters to 360 tours so that it's as clean a presentation as possible. And then we didn't put anything else in WP3D, but you could supplement this with a static photo gallery, video, etc. All the things we talked about.
Map, text, lead generation. It's quite amazing. Congratulations to you on developing this tool. It's so powerful. And I would say you first developed it for the Matterport ecosystem, but now it has deep integration with 360 tours. You mentioned you could have a photo also as that. I always want to call it a hero image, but you got a different term for it.
Yeah, well, we've tried to come up with just the right name for it, but yeah, basically
model type.
Yeah, the base. Yeah, the
base
model.
type.
Yeah.
So and then on the base model, if we just stay there for one more second, because you had just a couple more options on the pull down where it says 360 tours. So video, static image, and then if you could just expand on generic iframe as it meets other 3D tour platforms.
Sure, yeah, so you can, if you were to select generic iframe, you can take anything that would be otherwise published with an iframe and paste that iframe in here using it as the model base. When you do that, you have to, it does require that you add your own static image, because we do need an image. And that's the image that you see here when the page initially loads, the image that's in the background here. Using 360 tours, we can automatically, dynamically get that image for you, making it really easy. If you're using another platform that we don't have a deep integration with, you'd need to add your own static image there, and that's a requirement.
I think that's really just amazing. I say that because I know when I bought a Matterport camera in July of 2014, other than using a DSLR camera and rotating it around, that really was I would say the only solution. But today there are about 80 different camera solutions that shoot something that's a 3D tour or 360 or whatever. And so I think you've, in this next generation of WP3D models, enabled a 3D tour photographer not only to use Matterport, but any 3D tour platform, 360 platform, that's going to ultimately generate an iframe code to be able to put in WP3D models.
Yeah, or video, or really anything that's dynamic to fit into that hero space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's cool. All right, can you pop us off of
yes,
screen share there?
Yeah, well, and I just wanted to show a couple more of our demos. We kind of took a tangent there, but the other way in which 360 tours is really valuable, we think anyway, is let's say you have a condo building, and you've got a number of different properties in that building. It's really valuable, at least in our opinion, to be able to determine where these are in relation to the others. So I guess in this setting, I have Zoom disabled, but you can tell, there's these 4 that are for sale. They're in this condo building, and I want to look at it from the other side. In this case, we're looking back towards the ocean. There's one that's for sale on this side. So it gives you a much better idea of where spaces are in larger building complexes.
So we've seen 2 use cases here. If you're in hotels, resorts, hospitality. Second, anything where there's a grouping of buildings, of something, a grouping of something that you want to be able to show. So this is related to, might be rentals, holiday rentals, vacation rentals.
Yeah.
I could imagine tricking out all the different floors or model types or whatever it might be.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. So that's another one. Developments, we've seen really great traction here. Something where you're trying to pick from a number of homes that are in the process of being built. You want, maybe there's a spec home that does have a 3D tour already built for one of them. Let's see, we may have a little slow connection going.
Yeah, I think that's one of the challenges of trying to do an interact. The good news is we're an interactive television show. The bad news is we're an interactive television show.
Right. Yeah. So here's a couple spec houses with an aerial 360. We love aerial 360s, but here's 2 spec houses that have had 3D scans. You could imagine that all of the spec houses might have 3D scans, or maybe even knowing, seeing it from this view, you could do a couple just 360 panos of where the lot is before there's a home on it, even. So the potential buyer could get an idea of what the view is, or what the street looks like. So content here before and during it's the build out of residential areas.
Well, I think with the number of third-party service providers offering pre-built visualization, that certainly could be, here's the house that's been built, but here are the house option types or the spaces types that the architect has rendered.
Yeah, that's right.
As long as it has iframe, as long as it's got to live someplace. So let me not mess that up, mangle that. I've already mangled it horribly. Tell me about digital assets and where did they need to live in order to be within 360 tours?
Yeah, we built this to be a hub for essentially your other digital assets. So anything else that you may have stored somewhere else, you can put in images, you can put in a PDF, you can put in other iframes. So we want to use 360 tours as the hub or the base, and then you put in your other assets there, and then the whole thing is packaged up as your own iframe. It could be used inside WP3D, or it could be shared directly with your own branding under your own custom URL. So
the native content that can be uploaded to 360 tours essentially is photos and 360s.
Correct. Yep.
And if I have a 3D model, it's got to live on some other platform that in the case of Matterport, it's seamlessly integrated. But if I'm using a different 3D tour platform that's not presently deeply integrated, as long as there's iframe, as long as I can grab a snapshot, then I'm good to go.
Yeah, and you wouldn't actually need a snapshot with 360 tours. You just need the iframe. So once, you know, you would pick an icon. If you wanted a custom icon, you'd need to generate that. But you can pick from one of ours. And then by clicking on that icon, it would automatically launch and load the iframe.
Cool. All right. Are there other use cases that you wanted to cover? Those are top three.
That's the top three. But, you know, we've had some interesting cases where somebody wants to do some, you know, there's a space with a bunch of different things for sale in this case, and these would become just direct links away. So we've used some content from Target here, and if you click on this, you're going to go ahead and go straight to being able to buy that chair. So nice commerce solution for, obviously, could be wildly customized based on whatever somebody is selling, and this could be, you know, a showroom or well, sky's the limit.
Yeah. All right. Cool. You know, pop us out of the screen share. So, what I'd like to share is for the We Get Around Network community that if you are a standard or premium member, you get the free use of WP3D Models WordPress plugin, and you also get the free use of 360 Tours, the I want to say domain 5 plan, or essentially that you can have 5 custom domains.
The top tier plan, yep.
It's the top of the line tier that 360 Tours offers. If you are a We Get Around Network standard or premium member, free use of these 2 content management systems. We've recorded today's program, so we will put it in the We Get Around Network forum if you missed any portion of it. Before we go, Lorenzo, anything else you wanted to cover?
No, that about sums it up for me.
Okay, and then Ross, any final parting words?
Well, I think we've got it.
Okay, it's time for our little selfie here. Lorenzo, come on, you gotta hold it. YouTube
I was gonna say if people really want to see a new feature, let us know and we'll
good point.
do our best to get it out of there, because
really, we got to get everybody's fingers up. Come on, Ross, YouTube takes a while to find us. Okay, good. So if you have any new features, what's the best way? Do you post in the We Get Around Network forum? Do you post the 360 Tours support? What's the best way to get in touch with you?
I think the forum works. You can also get a hold of us at 360.tours. We have a contact form, and just let us know what you want to see, because we really want this to be market driven, and if you know, people want this stuff, we're very incentivized to build it. So
so that the URL again for 360,
it's 360 all characters, 360 one word .tours, TORS or OURS.
Okay, so the numbers 360.
No, the characters. Three spelled THREE 60 SIXTY.
360 all spelled out.
Yes. .TOURS.
.tours. Okay, yeah. Good. Glad we covered that.
Yeah.
That's an important thing.
That is an important thing. And yeah, that's right. Most of these features we talked about today were also things that were suggested by our existing customers. So we appreciate that very much.
So Ross, thank you very much for joining us today. Lorenzo, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
We appreciate it. And thank you for watching. You've been watching WGAN TV Live at 5. We've been talking about 360 Tours, new features since our first episode on 360 Tours for newbies. And our guests today on the program have been co-founders Lorenzo Gangi, yes, and Ross Peterson. Ross is also the founder and developer of WP3D Models. Thank you all for tuning in. Thanks, Lorenzo. Thanks, Ross. And you all, thanks again for watching.
Thanks, Dan.
I'll see you guys later. I'm going to talk about some other things for what's coming up on the program.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks again. Okay, bye. And then Lorenzo, I still have you on camera. I think you probably just want to, yep, good, okay. So just wanted to give you an update of what's coming up on Monday's show. Let's see, February 24th, 25th, 26th, on February 26th, Monday, February 26th. Let me see if I can actually get my notes up. Incidentally, I got some things to kind of give away here. I want to, if you just stick with me for a little bit longer, I'll talk about how you can get what I got. I got three of whatever these things are, and I'll talk about them in a second. And I just need to call up some notes because I want to get it right for Monday's show. Tell you about that. Just take me a second. Thanks for your patience. Schedule. Okay. Good. So we'll record this and we'll pop it into the forum too. Hi all, I'm Dan Smigrod, founder of the We Get Around Network Forum. So looking forward to Monday's show, Monday, February 26, 2018. We're going to have Cupix back on the program. We'll be visiting with Scott with Cupix. Scott's the director of sales. He was on the program last time, gave us a great demonstration of Cupix. Did a whole lot. If you haven't seen the show, it was WGAN-TV Cupix for Newbies, C-U-P-I-X, Cupix for Newbies. If you're looking for a Matterport alternative, Cupix enables you to create a 3D tour with any 360 camera and processing the images using computer vision technology. It's way cool. Photogrammetry, whatever that is, it's kind of like magical. So it enables any 360 camera to have that Matterport-like experience. And Cupix is presently free while it's in beta. So just give you a heads up on what Scott Anderson's going to cover for us on Monday's show. That's since his last appearance back in November of 2017, a whole lot of new stuff. 3D BIM support, videogrammetry, and 360 video support for tour creation. This is actually going to blow you away. It's like the next generation, and this will make it, as a photographer, super easy to capture large spaces and be efficient at it and still have all the magic take place. So I don't want to get ahead of myself, but Scott will talk about that. Videogrammetry and 360 video support for tour creation, levels or floors, how to manage that, animation programming for a guided tour, customizable banners for social media posts, in-browser blur tour, very important. Wonder where that's going. Maybe we'll find out on Monday's show. Ability to embed YouTube videos into the Cupix tour and workspace collaboration features. So that's kind of the highlight of the show. It's on WGAN TV live at 5 on Monday, February 26th. That's Cupix, a Matterport alternative, an update since our last show on WGAN TV live at 5. So very excited. Hope you can tune in for that show. And yeah, just plan to watch. It'll be really exciting and in context to a lot of news that's been happening this week. I want to talk about one other program that's coming up on Tuesday. Give me a moment here and just find some notes on that. Just looking at my screen. Almost there. Yep, okay. And I'm going to record this so we can add it to the forum for others as well. So thanks for your patience with me. Hey all, I'm Dan Smigrod, founder of the We Get Around Network Forum. Super excited about Tuesday's show on WGAN-TV live at 5. We're going to have a Matterport ecosystem town hall. I'm recording this on Friday, February 23rd, 2018. It's the end of the week. Oh my gosh. Matterport changing the terms of service, changing the agreements that we do business. And boy, has that lit up the We Get Around Network Forum in terms of infringing on us as photographers, professional photographers, as well as our clients, real estate agents, and real estate brokers. And there's been quite a lot of discussion in the We Get Around Network Forum. And I'd like to just really be able to cover three things in this Matterport ecosystem town hall. You're all invited to participate. Join us on the interactive live WGAN TV show. And the format's going to be kind of a summary of what Matterport announced. I know Matterport, a lot of their team members read every word of the We Get Around Network Forum. So this Matterport, you're welcome to be on the show. You can do the summary. You can tell us what you did. You can tell us why you did it. And then if you'd like to answer questions live on the show, that would be fantastic. We're going to ask everyone that's on the show to kind of go around, let us know your name, your company, and your location. And then that first question is just, we'll kind of rotate around, is how do you feel about the Matterport ecosystem and why? And perhaps maybe share a story or two of either the impact or what you anticipate the impact will be. So that's kind of the first thing, is the sharing of your stories of what you feel about the Matterport ecosystem announcement and how you feel that's is going to affect your business. Second is to have a discussion, because I'm sure you got like way interesting things to say, and I'd like to be able to have other members of the community pick up on that, maybe further about how what your points might relate to them, et cetera. So see if we can do an interactive discussion to the extent that we can. And then I'd really like to leave it, if it's even possible, on a positive note of kind of a wish list of we really think Matterport's in a kerfuffle here. I believe there's still an opportunity to kind of turn the raging fans back into raving fans that we all were, that, when we bought our camera. Now, I know that's probably would be very difficult at best, because I think for many of us, Matterport has lost our trust. And when that happens, I think with all the new cameras and all the new platforms coming out, it just simply wouldn't surprise me that if many of us just bolted when we thought that there was a better solution that didn't have onerous or sneaky, what I would think, even just the whole process. I think at least one member was making fun of me that I accepted the new terms without realizing when I hit the continue button. And I just personally, I felt that was really sneaky. So, and that kind of invades that feeling of trust, and with no sense of any transparency at all. So anyway, I was actually trying to leave this on a positive note, and I'm not quite doing that. But what I really want to do is hear from members on what your recommendations are for what Matterport needs to do to turn this around in order for us to all be the raving fans that we were when we bought the camera, when we bought into the platform, when we bought into the ecosystem. And obviously something has changed, and I still think it's possible to for Matterport to realize that, oops, maybe this wasn't what we thought it was going to be, and it set off a firestorm in the We Get Around Network Forum. So I really want to cover that. as a maybe a positive way. I want to hear all the I'm upset. This is why I'm upset. This is how it's going to affect my business. I think it's, I frankly, I don't expect Matterport to be in the town hall, though they're certainly invited to attend. But I think it's really important that we kind of send these video postcards, to Matterport, so, to tell your stories of why you are upset. And I think part of why I think this is kind of important to kind of, share this publicly is, we do about 81,000 page views a month, almost 14,000 visitors right now that are coming to the We Get Around Network Forum. And I would say, on any given day, it's probably 7 or 8 times as many people that visit are not registered members. And so that says to me that they probably have heard about Matterport. They've found our community. They're trying to research, what camera or platform is right for me. Should I buy Matterport? Should I buy a Matterport camera? Should I buy in? And I think it's really important for us as a community to share our feelings, not only with Matterport, but with, the next generation of 3D tour photographers to help them make a decision that's right for them. So I think it's perfectly fine to have whatever stories or whatever's upsetting you is to tell your story. I think that's really important, both for those that are visiting our community and frankly, because we have 14,000 people, practically 14,000 people a month that are coming to our platform making decisions. I think you could have a private conversation in some groups or a public conversation. And I'm all about having it be public. And public, I think, has a little bit more sensitivity because, this probably affects the stock options of Matterport employees, whether Matterport will need to be letting people go, about whether Matterport, the employees that are there may have to, pick up more of the workload because there'll be less people hired at Matterport. I think we're really talking about, a watershed moment, seminal moment in the history of Matterport this week with this announcement in the change of the agreements that cover what we do. So even today, Friday, February 23rd, 2018, Inman Connect, the leading trade journal for real estate meets technology, ran a large story about our perception of the terms infringing on what we feel is our intellectual property. And then for real estate agents and for their clients, the property owners, infringing on them as well. So I really do believe there's a way for Matterport to say, I'm sorry, we made a mistake. We hear you. And we've listened to what your suggestions are about how to do it. I'll give you mine, which is first, I think Matterport has to figure out how it's going to share revenue with us for this additional use cases. And I firmly believe that we are just at the tip of the possibility of all the potential uses for the Matterport imagery and the data in ways that are just totally insanely fascinating and interesting. And I certainly don't want somebody using content that I created, what I consider my intellectual property, unless I'm being compensated for that. So I think it's really important for Matterport to take a deep breath and say, okay, we apologize. We're going to return to the 2017 terms and conditions while we think through an appropriate strategy for compensating the content creators, the photographers. And I think that that's either something like a buyout, a one-time payment, or it's some monthly payment for as long as Matterport has the use of it, or it's some pay per click or pay per something. I don't think it's a percent of the revenue that Matterport gets, because I think it's too easy to do strategic alliances where no money changes hands and the photographer doesn't get to benefit from that. So I think once Matterport kind of proposes how it will compensate photographers, then I think it's really important to have a opt-in option. And the default is not that you're opt-in, and if you want to opt out, you can. This is really, here's how we're proposing to compensate photographers. And if you like what you hear, then you can opt in by tour, by a folder of tours, or by all tours. And I think that is really, my simplistic view of the world is that you don't automatically opt. I mean, and this is so egregious of what happened this week, that we were all automatically opted in, and that there was no way for us to opt out. And furthermore, all the terms and conditions were so egregious, that did you get a property release for a house that's now going to be used for commercial purposes by Matterport, and that homeowner comes back to you and says, we're going to sue you, and they're going to bring Matterport into that because they're going to have deeper pockets than you, and Matterport's going to turn around and want to sue you because their terms and conditions said that you had the property releases, not just for today going forward, but from today going back in time. I don't even know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't give it legal advice, but it seems to me that when we submitted content, it was submitted under the condition of the agreement at that time. And if the agreement is going to change, then we have the right not to have our content affected by that. I'm not a lawyer and attorney, but just intuitively, I feel like something unethical took place this week. And so anyway, me personally, I think it's still possible for Matterport to make it right, apologize, revert back to the previous terms and conditions, announce that they're taking a look at how to compensate photographers for the going forward use of their content, our content. Only then, give us an opportunity to opt in by tour, folder, all. Also give us an opportunity to opt out at any time by image, by folder, by tour, unless we've been offered a buyout. I think it's also important to figure out how that Matterport can reestablish trust with its clients. We are all clients, and we're not being treated that way. And I think it's really important for Matterport to acknowledge that it's lost its trust with us as photographers, and that it has a plan to recapture trust. And when it apologizes, I think it's also important to attach to that apology something meaningful. It drives me nuts calling a customer service department where the company has done something wrong, and then they say, we apologize. Okay, but back it up with something. And I think this was a really egregious breach of trust, of ethical doing business. And it's now time that I think Matterport back up that apology with something that's worth something to us. I don't know if that's free processing, free hosting, but it's something. It's something to say, forgive us, we have sinned, and we want to regain your trust. And so anyway, so that's kind of a little tease, probably over a tease, for the Matterport Ecosystem Town Hall from WGAN-TV. If you're watching this on the We Get Around Network, if you're watching this on YouTube, join us on WeGetAroundNetworkForum.com, no hyphens, WeGetAroundNetworkForum.com. And then on Tuesday, there'll be a button our show will automatically start streaming, and there's a button that says Join Virtual Studio Audience. We're going to enable anyone to be able to click on that button and join this program, so that we're going to make it super easy. We'll even skip that you have to be a member of the We Get Around Network Forum free community to participate in the show. Anyone that wants to participate in the show and have your voices heard, we will go as long as it takes for everyone to tell their piece, and for anyone that wants to be able to comment on and discuss this topic. And then finally, I do want to wrap it up with your recommendations. I've given you mine. We're going to wrap it up with your recommendations of how Matterport could possibly make this right, regain our trust, and that we feel that the company is doing business ethically. So that's on Tuesday. Let's see, 24 to 5 to 6 to 7. That's on Tuesday, February 27th, 2018. That's going to be an exciting show. Please plan to participate or to tune in to WGAN-TV live at 5. Lastly, I want to talk a little bit about a giveaway. Just take me a moment. Then Mark, I see you in the virtual studio audience. If you want to just join me, just type in a little note, and I'll do that before I disappear. So in 5, 4, I want to record this for the forum as well. Hi all, I'm Dan Smigrod, founder of the We Get Around Network Forum. Today is Friday, February 23rd, 2017. And I just wanted to kind of share with you, I have 3 of these to give away. The VR kit. You put your smartphone in this rotator, and you press the button, and it just turns around slowly. And you can use that to create a 360. I know you're going to say, oh my gosh, why would I want to do that? I'm shooting Matterport, or I'm shooting with a DSLR. I'll explain that in a second. So it's the vrkit.com. See what else we got here. And then here's one out of the box that I've been using. See if I can turn that around. Okay. It's got different speeds. Mode is which speed you want it to complete a 360 in 20 seconds, in 40 seconds or 60 seconds, start, stop, and there's an on and off switch. That's a consumer grade mount at the bottom. And then this is where your smartphone goes in vertically, and then you can actually take this piece off, and you can attach whatever accessory that you have. You might have yet another way that you want to attach your iPhone or something else, but that's a consumer grade mount. And then I also have 3 of these. This is the VR kit. This is a fisheye lens that's been specially developed to work with your smartphone and the VR kit rotator. Let's see. I got that upside down and backwards. And that's probably helpful. That might be helpful. So, so you can imagine if you put your iPhone in and you have this fisheye lens and your phone rotates, you're essentially taking a spherical 360. And I know that may seem kind of old school to many of us, but if you want to use Zillow 3D Home, you need to use an iPhone to shoot the 360. Now, we did an entire program yesterday, Zillow 3D Home for newbies. As of today, Friday, February 23rd, 2018, Zillow is testing Zillow 3D Home in Phoenix. But by the end of this year, by the end of 2018, they will be rolling out to other markets. And even if you're shooting with Matterport or some other fancy schmancy 3D tour solution, the only way to do a 3D tour is to use an iPhone. Not even today an Android device, but an iPhone, and you could hold it and rotate it, or you could mount this on top of your tripod with your iPhone and have it rotate and just be a kind of efficient in your workflow. So, I don't want to run a contest on this. What I really want to do is have people who want to use this in conjunction with Zillow 3D Home to take that for a test drive. Zillow 3D Home, if you're in the United States, you can download the Zillow 3D Home app. It's totally free. And then you can pair it with the VR kit rotator. And so I want to just make sure that we give them so that you can test out Zillow 3D Home using a rotator, an iPhone, your tripod, and then second, that you can use and you don't need the fisheye lens to do that. But then second, to use the VR kit iPhone app. It also works on Android, but I'm trying to find iPhone people here because Zillow only works with iPhone at the moment. And play with this and then just write about it in the forum. If you like it, great. If you don't like it, great. But just I want to find members of our community, the We Get Around Network Forum community, that want to write about it. I'm looking for 3 photographers in the United States. Make it easy for me to ship it to you. I don't want it back. I got 3 of them. The folks at the VR Kit sent them to me. They're a member of the We Get Around Network Forum, a premium member. They sent them to me. I didn't want to just do a contest. I actually want people who want to review it. So the requirements are: you live in the continental United States, you have an iPhone, you're willing to do a review, and you're willing to do the Zillow Zillow with it and test it, and then just write about it in the forum, and then you can keep it. Doesn't have to be a long post, but as long as you like. And you do need to be a member of the We Get Around Network Forum. It is a free community. You can join for free, but you need to be a forum member. So if you're interested in this, just send me a private message and raise your hand. And in a day or 3, I'll make a decision, mostly based on, you sent me a nice note that if you've been posting a lot in the forum, and you're helping the community, then my bias is to send it to you rather than somebody who's just joined the forum, never seen them post, but wants free stuff. Okay. So anyway, thank you on that. And I got one other item. So, and I'll actually have more information below. I'll post the recording of this video in the We Get Around Network Forum, and there'll be some additional info there as well. So, hey, Mark, can I bring you into the up on screen? Is that okay? I see you typing me a note here. Oh, that's funny. Okay, you're right. Mount it on your Matterport. And will the stitching work if there is a pause in the rotation? Actually, it should. In theory, it should. If you mounted your iPhone on top of your Matterport camera, and you were, let's see how to say this, and the camera rotated, the answer, Mark, let me bring you on camera. Let's do that. If you don't want to be on camera, I'll take you off, but let's do that. Just take me a second. So, do I see you? Are you there, Mark? Let me see if I can unmute you. Mark, are you there? Mark?
Hello.
Hey, Mark.
Hi.
Tell us where you are and where you're calling from.
I'm in Kona, Hawaii.
So aloha. So
Hello.
you're in Hawaii. So this is really a great question. And the funny thing is, if you're using Zillow is actually using video to capture the rotation. So the answer is a little bit complex. You can definitely capture the 360, but the way Zillow 3D works, it's also capturing, let's see, what would the word be? It's not one of the sensors. It's not the gyro. It's the accelerometer. So it literally knows that you've walked from place A to place B, and they do have some requests where you have the camera, facing forward. Once it rotates around, you wait kind of like 3 seconds, you walk to your next spot, and you want the camera to be then facing where the next 360 will be. And if you follow this process, then in post-production, it makes it, you have fewer things to do. So if you literally follow this secret magic of Zillow 3D Home, and know that the accelerometer is capturing the angle of your phone, and it's flat, and it stops for 3 seconds, and you walk to your next spot, and you're flat, and then you rotate, and all that kind of stuff. It'll automatically do the right connecting of all the different 360s. Does that help, Mark?
You do 2 tours at the same time. Basically, you could perform a Matterport camera also, and use that as a tour on the realtor's site. But then for Zillow, you could use the iPhones.
I think it's really cool. If you want to, if you tell me you'll try that, I'll send you one.
Okay.
Does that work?
Yeah.
You got an iPhone?
I do. iPhone 8.
Okay, cool. That's perfect. Then just send me a private message so that I have your shipping address. And in fact, I'll see if I can get that out tomorrow, Saturday, and send it to you. And I'll also send you this. You don't need this for Zillow, but if you want to just use the VR Kit app, and you use this, then you'll actually be able to create a 360. I think you'd probably figure out other cool use cases, for using this, and creating a 360
Right. I
or
don't know
whatever.
how the iPhone would attach to the Matterport through that, though. I would think I would have to either use something like Velcro or some other.
No, well, it's a good question, but hey, you'll figure it out. So this will hold your iPhone, because your iPhone's going to be held vertically,
Right.
right? So now you just have to figure out, how do you attach this to the camera?
Well, the camera's already spinning.
No, before the camera's spinning.
Okay, I got it.
Okay, so it's a really good question. It might be that just the weight of this is sufficient. You might test that before you walk too far away from your camera, in case that phone's going to go spinning off, or is it going to slide or not spin? But my guess is you could figure out some way to affix the bottom of this to your Matterport camera.
Is it magnetic or no?
No, it's got a little consumer grade mount. That's obviously, Matterport obviously doesn't have that at the top that you could mount it. If you try it and it doesn't work, even that is great information, because you tried it, and you tell us what you tried. You tried double-sided tape. You tried no tape at all. You tried Scotch tape, duct tape. I have no idea whatever it is that you want to do to see if you could achieve a Zillow 3D tour at the exact same time that you're doing your Matterport tour. You might have some additional post to do with Zillow 3D tour, because you're not following that accelerometer process necessarily. You may or may not be. Maybe you are. But I think that's way cool, and I think some of those are watching might say, well, gee, I got $10,000 in Matterport camera and iPad and processing and hosting and tripod and etc. Why would I want to use an iPhone to create a 3D tour? Well, if you want to be on Zillow, Zillow is free for a photographer. There's no processing, there's no hosting cost, but you have to use the Zillow 3D Home app, and you have two choices. You can either hold it and just rotate your body, or you can, I said pop it on a tripod, but I love the idea that you'd love to test that with with a Matterport camera, and see if you could actually do two at once.
Curious.
Me too. I'm love that you said it. I look forward to your private message on that. Did you have other questions either about the device or about Zillow?
Not right now. I'll have to test it and then see how I can get on Zillow. I haven't tried to get on Zillow. I did sign up, but I haven't gotten on to try to post anything from a camera yet.
Okay. So on Zillow, you can as long as you're in the United States and you're in Hawaii, so that counts. You can you set up a free photographer profile on Zillow.
Did that.
You'll then download the free Zillow 3D Home app.
Have not done that.
And once you do that, you're then going to sign into your Zillow 3D Home profile, photographer profile, link the two together, and now it's just going to prompt you. It's stupid silly. I mean, it's not. It's easy peasy. And it just prompts you on, okay, what do you want to call your tour? Okay, maybe it's the property address. Okay, you're ready to shoot. Okay, tap the button, and either rotate the camera manually or use a rotator.
I was curious why it wouldn't work with an iPad. It's very similar, right?
It might actually work with an iPad, but I imagine you're holding that and rotating around. I'm not sure you're going to put your iPad on top of the camera. Were you thinking of something different?
No, I would think that would hold the iPad as well, that same mount. It's just that it has a higher, well.
I'm going to say that I would be really reticent to put my iPad in this. I think it would just topple over. The weight's going to take it over. But go to town. Just don't send me the bill. When the iPad falls on the ground. Make sure you got shag carpet on your testing day.
Okay, that's all the questions I have then.
Cool, Mark. I just want to make sure I don't have any other Marks that send me a note. So, your member name in the forum?
Well, my name's Mark Jackson. I guess it's probably
that'll work. You'll send me the details, and the shipping address will be Hawaii. So that's cool. All right,
great.
Thanks, Mark. You have any other questions while we're chatting?
Was there a previous broadcast that I missed an hour ago about the town hall?
The town hall is on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, the Matterport Ecosystem Town Hall. Love for you to join us. If you can get a video camera by then for your call-in, that would be great. If you do it by phone, that's okay. But that's Tuesday. Monday show is we're going to revisit Cupix, C-U-P-I-X. It's a Matterport competitor that will launch soon. Looks pretty similar to Matterport. Platform is presently totally free while it's in beta. And we did an episode previously on WGAN-TV of Cupix for newbies, or what I would call is Cupix versus Matterport. So that episode we've already shot. If you send me a note in your private message, just remind me that you'd like the link to that. Happy to send that. And I think that's probably the next shows. The show that we did earlier today at 5 o'clock Eastern time was 360 Tours. What's new? We previously did a show on 360 Tours for newbies, and so this was the follow-up of what was new since our last broadcast. A lot of new features have been added. And also a little demonstration of how it's easily and seamlessly works with WP3D models.
Very good.
Good. All right.
Okay.
Mark, aloha.
You have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too. And thank you all for tuning in. Time to get the weekend started. Bye-bye. Thanks for tuning in.